Hey, what's up guys, it's Gage from ARG, and let's talk about Doomstar Magician, which is the next card to be kind of hopped aboard the hype train, along with a couple other cards we had in the most recent just time here, all for pretty much Pendulum hype, which is actually what this card will fall under today. Now, what is so good about Doomstar Magician that it's been hyped up from about a 50-cent card to around $6.40, as you can see there as the price right there. I actually think it's sitting around more like $5.50 for Mega Pack versions, but this is of course the first edition from those lines. So what is so good about Doomstar Magician, and how does it tie in with all this Pendulum hype we've had so far with cards like Vector Pendulum, as well as Painful Decision, Masked Chameleon that goes in with the Performance Pendulum deck, and more notably Luster Pendulum going up to at least $40. How does this card tie into there? While it may not be as major as the other cards we've had, of course not having maybe like a $5 increase isn't as much as a $35 increase, much like that of Luster Pendulum that has been kind of hyped up like that. But what makes Doomstar Magician good enough to be hyped up a little bit? Well, if you guys remember, we just had ARG Anaheim this past weekend, and the first place deck profile, the first place deck from Borden, he actually decided to play 2 copies of Doomstar Magician in his Performance Pendulum deck. And also, I think 4 other instances of decks played Doomstar Magician that made the top 16 cut. So this card obviously had a really good showing. But what makes it so good? Let's read it. We have Doomstar Magician. It's a level 4 spellcaster. It's a dark, 1800 attack, 300 defense. Once per turn, you can discard 1 card, then target 1 card in either player's Pendulum Zone, destroy that card, and if you do, draw 1 card. So what is so good about Doomstar Magician? It's a pretty simplistic effect if you read it, but if we remember back when this card was first released, it was really assumed that this card was actually really terrible, because what was the only Pendulum deck that we had back then to really base this card off of? Well, we had Clifford's, and Clifford's really didn't get affected by this card, nor did they really want to play with this card to be able to draw this card, to be able to draw cards off of popping their own Pendulum Zones. It just wasn't worth it. So Doomstar Magician kind of fell by the wayside, and it was deemed kind of bad. I mean, you're minusing 1 from your hand, you're destroying your own Pendulum Zone, getting no advantage off of it, and then you're drawing a card. So you're still going -1 essentially with the card, and that's just no bueno. Nobody really cared for that. So the card kind of fell all the way down to 50 cents and was never heard of again. But now that we've moved later into the era of pendulums, and we have more, of course, than just the Clifford deck. We have Magiceptors, we have the Performance Pendulum decks being released, we have all the Magician Pendulum decks being released as well. Now that pendulums are dominating the game as we know it right now, Doomstar Magician can kind of come in, sweep in, and get a couple of good hits in to really make the meta kind of shape around it. Not really shape around it, that's the wrong word I'm using, but it's definitely a very good contender for cards such as cards like Wavering Eyes, which also serve a major purpose in the pendulum based formats we're moving into now. So Doomstar Magician, mainly what it's used for is it is in the Performance Pendulum deck, we know it right now, but it is good in the sense where for its discarding, you do have several targets that you really actually want in the graveyard to get there, so you can be able to use them to net more advantage. Cards such as Damage Juggler, Electromagnetic Turtle, if you play that, cards that you really don't mind pitching to the graveyard to be able to net some advantage off of Doomstar Magician. Cycling a card is always really good. So, being able to pitch, like I said, the Electromagnetic Turtles, Damage Jugglers, or the Garnets out of your head, the dead Garnets if you choose to play the Gem Knight version, really makes this card kind of usable and makes the discard cost not as hefty as it would normally be when you're pitching something actually relative in your hand. So that's really good in that sense. But just being able to pop a card in either player's Pendulum Zone, that already sounds pretty good. You might be thinking, why do you want to pop one in your own Pendulum Zone? That's no good. But if we think about a card like we have Plushfire right now, that's a really hot card to be able to pop with Doomstar Magician. So you're not banking on the fact that you have to have your Wavering Eyes to pop it or the Luster Pendulum. You can still pop that Plushfire in your Pendulum Zone without having those cards and still be able to net that obscene advantage off of that one little Plushfire. So that's really handy in that sense. Also, this card is a way to get around Vector Pendulum, which I heard, moving into a more pendulum-based format, that card's been pretty popular, and it's going to screw you up pretty bad if you can't get around it. Something that Doomstar Magician actually does very well, and being able to pitch, of course, like the cards, like I said before, being able to net you advantage, such as like a Damage Juggler, you really lose no advantage, and you actually, in fact, gain advantage off of Doomstar Magician. So saying that, it really brings the card all around to make it a really decent card. Even just its stat base, 1800, 300, isn't too bad. 1800 is actually a pretty feasible body. Also, the fact that it is a spellcaster is also really notable, and the fact that if we want to go into a card like Alchemic Magician, which is definitely one of my new favorite XYZs moving into the mirror matches, being able to search a Wavering Eyes from your deck is pretty hot if you ask me. The fact that this is a spellcaster just gives you more abilities to be able to do that. Now we only have to tie it up with 2 extra spellcasters we have to get from our extra deck or from our hand onto that field to be able to make it. So that's really, really hot if you ask me. Now, this card here being an ultra rare, having only 1 print is, well, no, 2 prints, excuse me, Mega Pack. It probably is the reason why it's kind of sitting at a little bit higher of a price range. Of course, the Mega Pack reprint really does bring it down a little bit, but then again, it is only 2 prints and it is an ultra rare, so it is still pretty hard to get. But it did spike to $10 last night just for a very short time, but people kind of brought it back down to a more reasonable price. So that's where we're sitting at right now, where it's $6.40 for the first editions, that is according to TCG Player, and that is the majority of them. There is a lot of them up on the market right now as opposed to yesterday, so we are looking at kind of like the medium price sitting right there. So that's really awesome. So Doomstar Magician, if you guys have the opportunity to pick them up for relatively cheap, I would highly suggest doing so, because there's no idea like telling what the format's going to hold for us for the rest of the time here until we move into January with Breakers of Shadows, where this card will probably just be rendered completely useless in place of other cards that might really just replace the deck slot. But as far as we have right now, if you're playing the Perform Mage Pendulum Mirror and you expect to play a lot of the mirror, which you should be, because top 16 was majority Pepe, you should be probably looking in Doomstar Magicians, maybe just 1 or 2 copies. It's something to look at. But let me know what you guys think of Doomstar Magician. Do you think it's false hype again, as we've had with several other cards that have gone down, Mask Chameleon being one of them? Or do you guys think it actually serves a huge purpose in this format, much like I do? Not only is the artwork absolutely badass, but still I think the card has a lot of potential and does a lot, as we've seen it already in the Circuit Series this weekend. So yeah, let me know what you guys think of Doomstar Magician. And yeah, if you guys want to buy or sell product, if you want to attend high events, and if you want to read articles from the toppest of top players, All Three Games is your place to go check out. Be sure to like our Facebook fan page and subscribe to our Twitch stream if you haven't already. But as always, I thank you guys for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I'll catch you guys next time. Gage from ARG, signing out.